main approach. Really going to just be taking the opportunities to target down these Kirlia early on in the game, shut off that draw engine, and let's get things underway. Alec going to be starting things off with the draw. Not a lot going in the hand, but did fight level ball there, so importantly can get out another Ralts in the deck, potentially grab that here. But the question is, what do you even go for? Do you go for Ralts? Mew is an interesting choice here. You don't get the guaranteed search with the Ralts, but you can at least try to utilize Mysterious Tail, try and find the copy of that Battle VIP pass, and really try to get your setup going.
Exactly. Looks like Mew might be the grab. It looks like it's going to be put up there in the front. Again, Mew has the Mysterious Tail ability, able to look at the top 6 cards of your deck. Grab a trainer, preferably a Battle VIP pass, but we'll have to see. Didn't quite get to see the rest of the hand if they have a way to retreat. It's as simple as an energy, but right now, again, you do want you want the most optimal start, especially against Lost Box. Let's see what they can grab here. It is going to be the Mew. Let's see if they have the retreat.
It's tough. Mew is a great card on the first turn of the game in a lot of matchups. Mysterious Tail, looking at the cards, trying to find Battle VIP pass, but it's such a liability against this Lost Zone deck. If your opponent is ever able to utilize cards like Escape Rope to play around attacking into Mew, not only does it just sit on your bench with 60 HP, which can easily be knocked out with Lost Mine, but it also takes up a crucial bench space. We need to talk about some of the threats that Danny has on his side. Radiant Greninja means that the mana fee on Alec's side's got to come down. You have to have things like Cresselia sometimes in play to be able to move damage counters off. On top of that, you also need your, of course, Gardevoir line to be able to draw cards. You kind of run out of bench space, and you give easy prizes to your opponent down the line.
Great point, Ethan. I think the 60 HP, just such a big liability as well. There we go. We're going to see the retreat into the Mew. Mysterious Tail, couple of Battle VIP pass, so we are playing a game here. I've always said this. If you open a Battle VIP pass, you know you're going to have a good time. And Alec, I'm sure, is breathing a sigh of relief here. Let's see what they decide to grab. Grabbing looks like another Ralts. I like the grab here, the 60 HP, just so that you can evolve it right away, and just really prioritizing the mana fee there.
Yeah, this is a tough situation. I mean, you know your opponent's playing a Lost Zone deck, so it's kind of risky to sort of end your first turn, even if your opponent's going second, not putting mana fee into play. There is always that threat of the turn 1 Moonlight Shuriken, but
you think that's possible? Turn 1 Moonlight Shuriken
it is,
off the bat?
You get triple Comfey plus Chorus plus Lost Vacuum that puts you to 7. However, the one issue I have here is, Alec, you already really dislike if your opponent has Escape Rope and a turn 1 Cramorant hit to play around. Putting all these Pokemon on the bench that you really don't want to get knocked out, the mana fee you really can't give up to your opponent. You just open up Moonlight Shuriken. You really don't want to shut off Ralts because you, of course, need to utilize that for the refinement ability and also to get Gardevoir into play. Maybe would have liked to see something like the Greninja come down. It can at least take a hit from one of these Cramorants, and the damage can be moved on later. But a great start here with Chorus for Danny, and with 2 Battle VIP pass surprise, finds one of them off the top 5 here with Chorus.
Not bad indeed, Danny there, starting with the Chorus Experiment. Great card, especially in the Lost Box. Again, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Put 3 in your hand, 2 in the Lost Zone, just being able to power up your hand and Lost Zone there. Looks like sending the Mirage Gate, and I believe that was an energy to the Lost Zone. Right now, counter is at 2. The magic number to hit, of course, is 4. Just to get the attack off with the Cramorant. Flower selecting being played now. Clara hitting the Lost Zone.
Yeah, tough choice there. Lost Vacuum and Clara. I think Danny really understands that there is the potential for a turn 2 Lost Mine, which is so detrimental against this deck. Targeting Kirlia down, again, is exactly what you want to do. You can even target Mana Fee down to open that line up. Really saying, I've got 1 copy of this here. I've got multiple copies of Clara. I'm not forced to Lost Zone any Sableye. And doing that before utilizing Battle Pass to try and see more Pokemon on the deck ends up not paying off, but can still at least utilize another Flower selecting, utilize this Cramorant on turn 1, and take prizes on the first turn of the game. Exactly what you want to see here with the Lost Box deck.
Definitely. Turn is not over yet. I'm sure we're going to see a couple more flower selectings. We do see the Cramorant and the Comfey grab there from the Battle VIP pass. Again, it looks like both players are having a good time now. Do we see a switch? Do we have an energy to retreat?
So I believe both those pieces are there. So did save the Psychic Energy off the Chorus's Experiment, has the Switch Cart first. I think playing Switch Cart here is probably the better choice right away. If you find Radiant Greninja, you can possibly concealed cards with that. Another Flower selecting, another tough choice. Having to get rid of another energy card. You really value these, of course, for Kyogre later on in the game. And it's going to be a risky Pokestop.
Oh, absolutely huge Pokestop. Gets 2 Nest Balls and a Switch card. That practically translate into a Battle VIP pass right there. What do you grab here as Danny?
Greninja's coming down right away. That is a perfect Pokestop. Finding not only the pivoting card here, you can save the energy, now utilize concealed cards to draw more cards, but you also get to find more Pokemon out of the deck as well. You've now got the option to get Sableye down into play right now. Of course, saving that Lost Vacuum really shows that Danny is going to try and go for that turn 2 Lost Mine. better way than getting Sableye down, keeping those cards. Found Colress as well off that second flower selecting. If there's no hand disruption here, Danny's got it pretty much all set, not just for this turn, but the following turn as well.
Definitely, Danny looks like is having an absolutely great turn. Concealed cards there, drawing 2 more. All he needs here, if he has an escape rope, I believe that could be the best play possible. Just get rid of something on the bench. Looks like we're going to play the Lost Vacuum. You know what? I get to use that Pokestop, not you. Sending the Energy Recycler to the Lost Zone there. Very interesting play.
Yeah, I think Danny just understands, like, he's going to want to go for Lost Mine, and there's the potential that a counter stadium comes into play, so might as well guarantee the 2 cards in the Lost Zone right now. Play that card, and of course, like you said, don't give Pokestop. Danny strikes first, taking the first prize card.
All right, Mew getting knocked out there, but again, that Mew could still come back with something like the Echoing Horn as the Manaphy gets put into the active. Looking at Alec's hand, they do have a couple of Refinement Curlias. That means there is a way to draw here. Has the Fog Crystal as well. Looks like we're going to use that. Might have to grab another Curlia, possibly Zacian, just to have a bigger body on board, but I'm sure Alec here is looking for something like a rare candy Gardevoir to start dealing with the Kramik, to start taking prizes themselves.
Yeah, it's a tough position with this hand because there's not a lot going on. No draw supporter. Does have double Curlia. And it seems like pretty much how Alex is deciding at this point is, listen, I'm going to take a turn off. I'm going to draw some cards here with Refinement. I'm going to put you at 4 cards in hand. I know you just drew a lot of cards. I know you just selected a lot of specific pieces. Let me maybe put up one of those Pokemon, try and buy myself some time. This is not what you want to see when your opponent's had such a stellar and aggressive start.
For sure. Big judge there. Both players shuffle up. Great equalizer. Both players draw 4, but now both Curlias in play means Alec has access to 4 extra cards. Something of note, though, the 2 Raltses have evolved. That means there's no chance for a rare candy Gardevoir play, potentially. That means Alex is not taking a prize this turn. Let's see what both players draw off the judge. Battle VIP, couple of energy. Miriam could be a big card, especially since that Manaphy should be going down as Danny draws. Does he draw anything in particular? There's a 4 Sealstone and a Dragonite, so not too bad. First Refinement here.
So I'll be really interested to see what Alec gets off these 2 Refinement abilities. I feel like you really don't want to give your opponent another prize card to work with. If you can find something like Radiant Greninja or Cresselia this turn, you can at least try to retreat into that. Interesting choice there for Alec. Decided to get rid of energy before this Battle VIP pass. If there was an energy card in this hand, in addition to this Fog Crystal, you can find the Cresselia, attach, retreat into the Cresselia, and then pass the turn over. But it's actually just going to be a Roar of the Sword, powering the Zacian up, pretty much accepting that Manaphy will go down. And this is a big break here for Danny. An extra turn. This is essentially a bonus turn here for Danny. You're expecting with this Lost Zone deck to be taking knockouts, but also getting knocked out in advance. And now you get a free turn to draw some more cards with concealed cards, put some more cards in the Lost Zone, and work with what you got.
Definitely a very scary spot here for Alec as Danny just goes ahead and uses Radiant Greninja, concealed card, draws 2 more. But right now, they have the knockout on Manaphy. Again, Manaphy is such an important card in this matchup. And if they wanted to, they could still dig a little bit more. If they have a way to retreat to that Comfey.
This is an interesting choice for Danny. It does have the Forest Sealstone and Dragonite, but understands that the goal for this turn is probably just to knock Manaphy out. It's good to take the prize cards right now, set yourself up for Moonlight Shuriken to put damage on the board, and then preps the energy on the Comfey, getting it ready to be able to retreat the following turn, so there's that pivoting option. And right away, Danny going to 4 prize cards. Sure, you have Miriam to respond, but you still got to put a lot of things together to get this knockout.
That has to be the perfect supporter for the turn, though. Getting the Mew back into the deck, plus the Manaphy, means there's no liability anymore in the discard pile. No more Echoing Horde target. And you get your Manaphy back. That's something I'm sure Alec would love to see, because right now Curlia only has 90 HP, plus there's a Ralts. Moonlight Shuriken looking very scary here, and something Alex has done, has attached preemptively to that Zacian V. So there's 2 energies right now, hasn't attached for turn just yet.
Yeah, of course, Alex still has to find a lot of pieces here. Has to find, first of all, the energy for turn, has to find Manaphy, but speaking of which, finds both of those pieces right away. Able to get the Ultra Ball and Psychic Energy. Not have 2 Refinement abilities as well. Still a lot of digging power, but my question really at this point is it a little bit too late at this point? Sure, you put Zacian up, but this is a Pokemon that's easily going to be able to be knocked out by something like Dragonite. Even a Raikou with a full bench can take a knockout as well.
Ooh,
How can you keep yourself in this game?
Looks like Alec opting to refine another killer there. Looks like they're really looking for the Gardevoir EX and just really making use of the rare candy in hand, potentially. Drops the mana fee. And I have to agree, though, Ethan, this is looking very, very tough indeed, especially with that Dragonite in hand. Danny could go down to 2 prizes this early on, while Alex has really struggled to take their first one. There we go. We're going to see the Ultra Ball there, grabbing the Gardevoir EX, the crux of the deck with the Psychic Embrace ability, able to attach as many Psychic Energy from your discard pile, but you put damage onto your board, which I'm sure that's a very bad thing, right, Ethan?
Not in this matchup specifically. Yeah, you don't want to put damage on the board. A small thing to note, Alec did discard this Luminion V off of the Ultra Ball. It is always a little bit risky if you want to put that in play, but here's a card we don't see a lot. Buddy Catch Gallade. Able to search out a supporter card for the deck. This guarantees a lot of those specific disruption cards. For example, if the Zacian gets knocked out, Roxanne is a great card that you're going to want to play in the future, and Buddy Catch is a perfect ability to be able to get that into play. Alex strikes back, though, taking a prize card in advance, but Danny's already got the Dragonite and Forest Seal Stone in hand.
So something Alec was able to grab, though, was the penny, I believe, off the prizes. So this could be big. If Danny doesn't have the knockout on the Zacian, they could potentially take a hit and then get pennied away. That's something Alec can do to get back into this, as we just see a flower selecting here.
Tough choice. Yeah, you've already lost zone 2 energy cards. You've already lost zone to Clara as well. What can you afford to get rid of at this point? I feel like getting rid of the lightning energy is probably okay if you're not going to go for Kyogre in this game plan. You've got pretty easy knockouts lined up. You can knock out the Zacian, knock out Manaphy, and then knock out one of these one-price Pokemon. But Danny deciding, I've still got a Clara left. I've still got some resources. Utilizing the concealed cards off the energy. 2 more pieces, and does have 1 more pivoting option here. This will put Danny into a position where he's really looking to find something like Colress's Experiment. No, but just finds the Battle VIP Pass the Lost Zone away. So we're in Mirage Gate zone now. We're in the Mirage Gate numbers.
But the question is, do we have the water energy for the Dragonite? That's something I don't think I've been able to see just yet.
Yeah.
But we do still have the Forest Seal Zone. So the world is Danny's oyster here. It's just a matter of doing what flowchart does he follow at this point. I believe you just have to take a knockout on the Zacian. Just really push your lead, as we do see the Dragonite V being benched, Forest Seal Zone attached, giving Dragonite half a star berth, gets to find any 1 card from the deck, and it looks like it's going to be the Colress's Experiment, of course.
So the issue here is Danny has played a lot of these pivoting cards, has a lot of Escape Rope left, but you really don't want to play Escape Rope into a position where now you have Dragonite in play. You also need to find the Water Energy too, has Mirage Gate already in hand. So it's really going to be relying off of this Colress to find the Water Energy, find the pivoting card. All these abilities have been utilized already. Double Flower Selecting and Radiant Greninja. Big Colress here for Danny.
All right, let's see what they grab. There it is. Just correcting there, the V-Star has been used. Colress Experiment being played. A couple of energies going to that. Water Energy is pretty good, though. Pretty good to grab for sure. Didn't quite get to see what else. I believe an Escape Rope as well.
Double Escape Rope, Energy Recycler, and 2 Water Energy are the choices. So I think for sure you want to keep the Water Energy and the Escape Rope. The question is, how much do you value this Energy Recycler if you're not going to go for a play like Kyogre? I feel like it might be okay to get rid of 1, but you've already gotten rid of another piece as well.
I mean, Danny does play 4 Energy Recycler, so I feel like it should be fine to send, but it looks like Mirage Gate plus the Water Energy is the send there. And if I was Alex, I'd be trembling in my boots right now, because that, in my mind, those are the 2 cards he needed to take this knockout, and he sends it to the Lost Zone. That can only signify he has a couple more in his hand. And look at Danny's hand right now. It looks absolutely terrifying.
It's a little scary here, though, for Danny. You have every single piece in hand right now. The only problem is you're going to have to play this Escape Rope to put the Zacian out of the active. So if you're in Alex's position, I think it's a pretty easy choice. I think Gallade always is the Pokemon that comes up here. It's got the most ability to pivot. It's not going to be knocked out by any shenanigans in some sort of way.
But of course,
yeah, Sableye is going to be the easier response. But I think if you're Danny at this point, you might as well just take the free prize on this Kirlia, shut that draw engine off, and pretty much route your prizes pretty easily here. You can knock out the Kirlia, knock out 1 more of these 1-prize Pokemon, and from there, that Zacian on the bench or the Gardevoir can be knocked out down the line with setup from Lost Mine and a big knockout from the Dragon Gale on the Dragonite.
Yeah, it looks like just attaching another Forest Seal Stone, just getting out of the deck, prepping for the inevitable Roxanne turn. Again, there's the energy attached to the Sableye. It's going to be a Lost Mine. Again, Lost Mine, as long as you have 10 cards in your Lost Zone, which Danny does have. That is the the main target of the Lost Zone deck. You get to put 12 damage counters on play. Looks like it's going to be damage onto the Gardevoir there, though, putting 6 damage and 6 more damage onto the Manaphy. Interesting play here. Opting not to take the knockout, maybe playing around the Roxanne turn specifically.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the exact option here. Really does not want to get Roxanne, wants to keep the hand, wants to keep options. And you see very clearly Danny very much projecting how he wants this game to go. Knocking out this 1 prize Pokemon, setting up damage to knock out either of these 2 prize Pokemon. Danny is not playing any cards like Boss's Orders in the deck to be able to gust up these bench Pokemon. So it really has to rely on, hey, if it's attacking, it's already have to have the damage on it to knock it out. I can't really pivot around things besides Escape Rope, which of course your opponent can choose to bring up. Alec has to figure out how to stay in this game. Already played the 1 copy of Judge. There's no other way to disrupt the hand besides Roxanne. We just saw Danny smartly not take knockouts to play around that.
Exactly. Looks like Alec here playing the Fog Crystal again, able to find any basic Psychic Pokemon or basic Energy. Great flexible card here in the Gardevoir deck. Opts to grab the Cresselia.
And this is the issue with spreading damage on the board is you open up Cresselia to use Moonglow Reverse to put all these damage counters on your Pokemon. You are setting up to put 6 damage counters on that Gardevoir EX so that a 250 damaged attack from this Dragonite could do perfect math. But now Cresselia is going to swoop in here and ruin all of Danny's plans.
Exactly. Absolutely great card to grab in this specific matchup. Moonglow Reverse. Great. I'm sure Alec would love to heal more than 20 damage off their Gardevoir and Manaphy, but we take what we can get here. Looks like they could potentially. They do have the Penny in hand as well. Maybe you could opt to use it on the Manaphy. Is Manaphy that important?
I mean, you're going to heal damage off. You don't really play around something. I mean, really my question here for Alec, and I like this play, is what better supporter do you have to play? Do you see yourself playing Penny in any other situation? Maybe, but you have Palpad to put it back in. You're still going to want to probably play Roxanne next turn when things get moved. So here we go. If you've never seen Cresselia act before, this is exactly what it does. Pairs perfectly with this deck. 2 damage counters put on the Gallade, retreating through. And here we go. Because there are 4 Pokemon in play with at least 20 damage on, Moonglow Reverse take the damage counters off, knocking out the Sableye, and this hurts even more for Danny. Not only is there a Sableye in the discard pile now, but 1 is also in the Lost Zone, and a Clara is there too.
I think Alec had to make this exact play to stay in it, because now prizes are all tied up. We essentially negated Danny's turn as he just goes ahead and flower selects here a little bit. Let's see what play they have to work with. Again, Cresselia 120 HP, a little bit tough to knock out without another Sableye potentially.
And Danny is turboing through the deck. He is locked in, or maybe is just a little bit upset that that happened at last turn to really ruin the plans that were set up. I mean, you could have technically just taken a knockout on the Curlier or taken a knockout on the Manaphy, and you would have essentially played around this line, set up your route. Now Alec is at 4 prize cards. Things are evened up now. There's no damage on his board whatsoever, and a lot of these Pokemon have been fully evolved to their higher HP states.
All right, Escape Rope being played again. When you play Escape Rope, your opponent has to choose who to bring up first, so you can plan accordingly. Looks like it's going to be another flower selecting, grabbing, was that a Mirage Gate or a Lightning Energy? Another tough choice. I think this is what happens in the Lost Box deck. When you get down to the last couple of cards in your deck, you typically have pretty much want everything in there, right?
It's so tough. I don't feel like you can afford to get rid of your second Mirage Gate, but you're already down, I think, 3 energy in the Lost Zone already, so that's pretty much, you're at almost half your energy gone in the Lost Zone, a third of your energy.
You think Danny's playing towards the Aqua Storm play here?
I don't know how possible it is when your opponent can just put back Manaphy one more time. They do have the Palpad in the decks, can put back Miriam, play the Miriam card. You kind of have it guaranteed as well with the Gallade because you can play the Palpad, Buddy Catch for it, put it back in. I feel like Danny at this point may have to just sort of route off this Kyogre strategy and see, can I take prize cards to make sense? Can I put my opponent in a position where they have to attack me with one of these 2 prize Pokemon? Otherwise, how do I stay in this lead if I'm not going to be able to take prize cards this turn? I mean, for Danny, really the choice is also what attacker do you want to use this turn? Can't use Greninja because Manaphy's in play. I mean, you can use Greninja to take a prize on the Curlia, I guess. That would be sort of the only option, but we'll see what the choice is.
Looks like we should be finding out shortly, as Energy Recycler was played earlier in combination with this Mirage Gate.
And it is going to be that.
We can power up the Greninja. We can do 90 damage for one knockout.
That is
not the most optimal, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting choice here for Danny. I think we're actually going to see, is that both Mirage Gate? Yeah, so both Mirage Gate there, putting 4 energy into play. And this is the
That's
choice.
a lot of resources to take one knockout.
Alec could have just put this Gallade up into the active spot. both of these Pokemon having 2 retreat costs, could have just put that in. Danny's going to take advantage that this Curlia went into the active spot. It's going to give him a route to Caprize. Sure, it's going to take a lot more resources, right? 2 Mirage Gate just got burned. That's going to mean all the Mirage Gate essentially are gone right now, out of play. But at least you're taking prize cards. At least you're advancing towards your final game state. The question is, does Danny have the resources to be able to fire off enough damage to take these prize cards faster than Alec will?
Yeah, this game is suddenly turning around indeed. I was thinking Danny was just such in a commanding position, but Alec just playing the right plays he needed to get back into it, as we do see the Radiant Greninja getting moved to the active again, has the attack. Moonlight Shuriken gets to 90 damage to 2 Pokemon, but with that Mana Fiend in play, only gets to knock out the Curlia in the active. Not the most optimal, but that's a prize.
Yep, not even targeting the second Pokemon. Understands the damage will do nothing. Moonlight Shuriken, a very rare instance we see it. Just take the knockout on the active. 90 damage, enough to knock out Curlia. And the choice here for Alec. How do you want to set this board up? Does have 2 damage counters, able to move off that Gardevoir EX, can just heal a little bit more damage off, can target down some of these benched Pokemon, and there are plenty of Psychic Energy in the discard pile to utilize Psychic Embrace to put damage counters on your own board.
Yeah, it looks like Ultra Ball being played here. Could find themselves, ooh, Radiant Greninja. I like this play, just filling up the board, protecting yourself from a potential Echoing Horn play there. And Roxanne being played. Again, Danny down to 3 prizes. Perfect time to play this. Both players shuffle up. Alex draws 3. Danny draws 2. Is Roxanne a lie here? We're going to have to see what Danny draws.
Yeah, Danny's down a lot of resources. And the problem is a lot of the deck is just energy cards that were put back in with Energy Recycler. And this is sort of what I think Danny has realized is you can try to play around Roxanne, but that's why Cresselia is so good at playing around those win conditions, healing damage off and making it so difficult. And now not only will Alex even things up with essentially no damage on board, but you're going to leave this Greninja in the active spot by utilizing Moonglow Reverse to knock out one of these bench Comfey. Leave your opponent with not only just 2 cards in hand, but really not a lot of resources to be able to take these knockouts. Targeting the Comfey down with the energy, of course, pretty easy choice. You know it's going to have a pivot. What do you do? Danny having the last Mirage Gate in hand, concealed cards to draw some more cards, does find Energy Recycler, so that means that this can potentially power up an attacker, but I mean, what do you use here? Danny really understands there's no other option to stay into this. Alec is going to have the resources to outlast this game, deny prize cards, and in a pretty wild flip-flop, upside-down game, Alec takes game 1.
Definitely something I wasn't expecting. We were talking about how Gardevoir, you know, the one bad matchup for Gardevoir definitely in this metagame is going to be that Lost Box, but it's not impossible. Again, with the Gardevoir deck having so many tools at its disposal, with that Cresselia, with the Mana Fees, with the Gallade, Buddy Catch Gallade, that's something I loved seeing.